Hey guys, Dante here, and welcome back to Quick Vids, where I show you how to make a prop in a short amount of time. Lately I've been thinking about adventuring, fantasy adventuring, swords, sorcery, for a number of reasons I won't go into. But I was thinking, what do adventurers have? Well, they have their gear. They have their adventuring kit. A small satchel with magic beans, bread that a little nibble lasts you a long time. All the stuff you read about in those traveling books such as Lord of the Rings, Drizzt, I believe his name is Drizzt. It's some dark elf. Anyway, what goes into an adventurer's pack? Small tools, lock picks, a bag of gold, a bag of tricks. So I said, you know what, I'm going to start making things that would go into a traveler's kit, a small box of some type. So I want to start off with something odd but useful. So I decided I'm going to make a bizarre fruit or vegetable, something they carry with them, like a beet, a carrot, a potato, something small, something odd looking, that all they have to do is nibble it and it'll last them for days. They'll have something like that, and they'll have a pouch that never dries of water or wine, depending on your character. So we're going to go ahead, take a few things I found around the house, a few things I found in the streets, at old gardening stores, whatever, and we're going to try to make a unique, weird fruit. Or, once again, a vegetable. So let's get going. To the floor, as always. So I came across, first things first, this right here. It is a broken ceramic pot. It's an actual ceramic pot. It's from a local garden near my house. I saw it and I was like, you know what? I want to do something with this because they were going to throw it out anyway. So I'm going to be using this. You don't need a plastic. You don't need to have your plant in anything, but I want to have it in here as a kind of decorative piece. I'm using a round ping pong ball for the main body of our plant. We're going to make a beet or kind of root from this. I know some of you can sculpt it from scratch if you want to use, let's say, Sculpey, bakeable clay, but I'm going to be building it up from this lightweight, cheap ping pong ball. So we're going to take the ping pong ball, we're going to wrap it all up in masking tape to give it a nice texture. I'll also use the tape to do a few root extensions from it. Speaking of which, this is a cheap plastic or it was a cheap plastic bouquet. I picked it up at Michael's, but you could find some corner stores that sell some, fake flowers for decoration. We're going to be using the leaves from this and the stems as well. These stems have wires in it. So I take the ping pong, I poke some wires into it to give it roots out the bottom. I also wrap it up in our tape to give it its texture like I mentioned. And then we went and covered the whole thing in Mold Builder, which is, once again, a water-based latex. A Mold Builder usually dries up in a brown tone, which is good for if you're doing, let's say, potatoes. Like you want to get a texture like of a plant of like a potato root. But I added some white in it because I want it to be a bright white, like a wild onion, which will then paint red tones into later on. And this right here is what we have so far. It's still drying. Let me lean it against something dark. Let's try this right here. There we go. So you have your uneven roots all around the bottom. This is, once again, tape around wire. These weird markings you have, these lifted lip, it's actually glue gun. I just took a glue gun and added glue all around on top of the tape. And now I've added my white tinted painted on latex to seal the whole thing together. You might want to add like 2 layers of it and then go back and add some color on top of my leaves. And the next step from here will be to add the paint. Once we have the paint all dried up, I will then try to make the fake dirt that will sit in the pot with the plant sitting on top of it. So you get 2 for 1 here. You're going to see how to make a quick, lightweight fake plant, and I'm going to try to make fake dirt. So let's let that dry, and then we'll get to the next step. Alright guys, now that your fake veggie is all dried up. I went for a kind of weird candy fruit looking root. Once again, latex, water-based paint in the latex and on top of it. I will be adding more color to the leaves to make it look a bit more natural, but this is our final product. Now, to make your dirt, I'm going to be using Fast Mache, which is once again a powdered down pre-mixed paper mache. So, you might have seen this used in my previous video where I had to make fake stones. That stuff comes in handy. So I take the paper mache mix, which just needs water, but directly into the water, I'll be mixing water-based paint. So I won't be painting the mache, I'd rather be adding the color right from the beginning. A little bit of black, a little bit of brown, and I even added some red just to get some tone, but you can always mix up whatever colors you want. If you want like a vibrant jungle brown color dirt, maybe add some red and brown together, make it almost orangey. But I'm going for potted soil, so we're gonna go for a darker tone. Nah, looks okay to me. So let's mix our water with this, and then we're gonna start putting it into the pot. I already added a small mix to start off, kind of like a foundation, and I took the extra ping pong ball and smushed it right in there to give it a general shape for what will eventually be a space for our plant. Here's a quick photo of that. Now I didn't let that dry all the way. I wanted it to be a little wet. Okay, that's how it looks right there. These small spots you see are actually little bits of sand I had from a I picked up at any plant store or any store where they might sell bits and bobs for the bottom of a flower pot, such as, you know, those clear marbles or whatever to put your flowers into it. This is like some brown sand. I smushed it right in there. It's still a little soft, which is perfect, because I can now take my plant and I'm going to offset it like this. And what I'm going to mix now will be added to overlap some of the roots. I do want it exposed partially. And then the whole thing is going to be tied together with this cheap rope I picked up. It's almost like hemp in its texture. It's just falling apart at the edges, which is perfect. I want this to look old and worn away, hence the broken pot. So let's mix some more dirt, put it in there, then tie it all up. Alright, so here is our paper mache with a little bit of the sand sprinkled into it to give it texture. I might even go and add a few small pebbles in it while it's still wet. And it looks pretty good. And once again, because you added the color into the water originally, as it begins to dry, if you don't like the shape, you could begin picking certain things out, and the color is all still there. You don't have to paint on top of it. From here, I will tie it up in rope, add some glue gun to hold the leaves to the rim of the pot to give it a bit more stability. But I think it looks pretty good. You can always add more color later. You can always clean up the edges later. And in just a few moments, once it's hardened, we'll have our cool fantasy plant. Okay, everything's dried. All the paint has dried, the glue has dried, and we have our broken pot with a little vegetable strapped in there. This is a candy root, yellow with pink stripes on it. It survives in a small amount of dirt, and it right now resides in a broken pot strapped in there with some old hemp string. Do not eat the root, for the root is poisonous. You eat its leaves, and it sustains you for days on end. I wanted something ugly looking, but bizarre and unique. And it has a nice weight to it too, and that's only from the pot itself, not the actual prop inside. Now, once again, this was made with a latex, a ping pong ball, and some tape. But to be honest, you can use whatever you want. Let's say you wanted to use Sculpey for the entire piece. You could have sculpted a vegetable root of your own style and then baked that. I wanted to avoid that because it has a bit of a weight to it if you use too much Sculpey. As mentioned earlier, the dirt is actually just painted, water tinted paper mache with some gravel in it. If you know how to use paper mache, you could have done the whole thing with paper mache and molded it. But I wanted to just go a little bit of a mixed media, try different things to see what works best. And doing this, as I said, gives it a light weight with the exception of the ceramic pot. And it's all nice and stable. That paper mache mix is pretty much as hard as a rock, and all the pebbles are stuck in there. You give it a shake, it doesn't fall off like cheap glitter. Because this is latex and not Sculpey or any kind of other material, the roots bend. They move the way a root should. And even have a little bit of wire in it so I can bend and pose it later on. The leaves are just plastic, once again painted over with just acrylic paint. If I was to film this, which I hope to film this, I would cut scenes between what you have in your hand and the act of pulling off a piece of lettuce and then chewing on the lettuce. And that's that, guys. A quick tutorial of one of the many ways to make bizarre fruit. You can make a bunch of these and stick them on shelves in the background of your film or just in your house. If you're a Harry Potter fan, I know they have a bunch of bizarre roots and plants and deadly leaves that kill and do horrible things, you know, for kids. And you could probably make some of those in the exact same fashion. Make it dirty, make it grungy, enjoy yourself. Besides, what's the fun of going on an adventure if you don't get your hands dirty? Anyway, guys, once again, I am Dante. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the future. Later.